Hey guys, this is Fuller and welcome to another new Hearthstone Heroes. This time it's the Blood Mage, the maddened magic wielders full of hatred and a burning desire for revenge. Starting with the theme, Blood Mages are still very much like mages, wielding powerful spells and summons. However, they've abandoned the water and frost spells, instead focusing more on fire and heat. They also have a constant mana addiction and are forced to drain mana from outside sources to satisfy their thirst. They're located in the Outland, and thus in order to survive, some of them use darker magics and even demons. Lastly, Quel'thalas himself has a pet phoenix he uses, so I slipped this in as well. With this hero I went pretty far, as I'm introducing a hero mechanic and a new minion ability. The hero mechanic is Empower. It's a cross between Overload and Choose One. When you play a card with Empower, you can either just play the card as normal or choose to play it with an extra Empower cost. The Empower cost makes the card stronger, but overall it costs more. So for example, this card doesn't actually exist, but it will just demonstrate. Draw 2 cards for 3 mana, or Empower 4 and draw 4 cards instead. So you could choose between casting an Arcane Intellect or a Sprint if you have the mana. That card would be too strong, but then again it's just an example. The new ability is Ethereal. It makes a minion unable to attack or be attacked, but it takes double damage from spells. It's quite similar to Stealth. Stealth has the advantage of being completely untargetable at all, but if that minion does any damage, then you'll lose the Stealth. Ethereal units, you can be targeted, at least by spells, but you never lose Ethereal if the minion does any damage. So it's brilliant on, say, your Knife Juggler or at Ragnaros, where you can keep dealing damage and remain ethereal. Secondly, it's like a freeze on enemy minions, as they can't attack, and of course with the double damage from spells, you can combo it well with damage spells. Once again, we've got a nice card scheme in the theme of the Blood Mage. Looking back at the Mountain King hero, he'd probably be better off as being orange, and keep the Blood Mage red like this. Alright, let's finally go on to the hero. Here's how he'd look. You can compare him to a mage and a priest here. Former leader of the Blood Elves. For the hero power, I used this for a previous hero, the Dragon Knight. I believe it would actually be better suited for a Blood Mage. It is Blood Mana. For 2 mana, gain 3 mana crystals this turn only and deal 2 damage to your hero. So note, you actually only gain 1 mana as you're spending 2 to get 3. You don't gain 5 mana or anything crazy like that. It's quite similar to the Warlock's one, giving the hero the ability to ramp up minions faster, and spells of course as well, at the price of life. Moving on to the cards, starting with the minions. The first one is Firecaller. For 2 mana, she's 3/2 with, whenever you cast a spell, deal 1 damage to the enemy hero. Might remind you of a Knife Juggler. Stats are good, but you can chip away at your opponent so long you have a lot of cheap spells to throw around. Next we have Arcanist. For 3 mana, she's 4/4 with spell damage +1 and Battlecry, destroy 1 of your mana crystals. So like a cheaper Ogre Magi, but with a price of course. With your hero power though, you can put her down on turn 2, strengthening your board and having some serious spell damage. Here's the first empowered minion. It is Hawk Rider. For 2 mana, she's 2/3 with Empower 6, gain +5/+5. So just to clarify, you can choose either pay 2 and get a 2/3, or pay 8 and get a 7/8. I made the Empower version slightly inefficient to compensate for the flexibility you're gaining in having both an early and a late game potential drop all in one card. Here is the first Ethereal minion. It is Ember Mage. For 3 mana, he's 3/3 with Battlecry, make a minion ethereal until the start of your next turn. So like Argent Protector and Master of Disguise, it's very versatile. You can either protect your own minion, assuming your opponent has no spells to take it out, or you can prevent an enemy minion from attacking for a whole turn. On to Corrupted Invoker. This one's a little strange. For 1 mana, he's 1/3 with Empower 3, put 2 secrets from your deck into the battlefield. He can be used as an early game Mute Shield, or you can save up and instantly drop down 2 secrets on a single turn. Like Mad Scientist in a way, but he can't be silenced as you gain the ability immediately. We're on to the legendary. It's Allah the Phoenix God. For 8 mana he's 6/5 with Death Rattle, deal 2 damage to all enemies and summon a 0/2 Phoenix Egg. The Phoenix Egg has at the start of your turn destroy this minion and summon Allah the Phoenix God. So essentially he can re-summon himself, but a 0/2 is very easy to take out. The explosive Death Rattle is amazing value itself and can wipe out the enemy board potentially. On to the spells. I'm going to start with the secrets first. All secrets cost just 1 mana. The first one is Fire Spirits. When your opponent summons a minion, summon 2 1/2 Fire Spirits. Like a mirror image and a mirror entity, this is strong early game and great in a rush deck. Next we have Mana Burn. When your opponent casts a spell, deal the cost of the spell in damage to the enemy hero. Very situational, like eye for an eye. This could deal 0 damage or all the way up to 10. Great against certain decks, so interesting to have. This is my favourite secret. It is Spellbook. When your opponent plays 2 spells in a turn, draw 2 cards. Like an Arcane Intellect, but will your opponent play 2 cards? Eventually probably, but you never know. Would you run this? On to Molten Armor. When a friendly minion takes lethal damage, prevent it and make the minion immune this turn. An ice block for minions. You can use this to keep a crucial minion alive. Of course it doesn't help versus hexes and saps, etc. Lastly we have Living Bomb. When a friendly minion dies, deal its attack in damage to a random enemy. If you happen to lose a Molten Giant or something bigger, you can force 8 or more damage out. The target is random though. It could hit the enemy hero or just a minion. You have to manipulate the odds in favour to the outcome you want. Alright, now for the real spells. The first one is Banish. Make a minion ethereal until the start of your next turn, so you can protect your Ragnaros or any minion like that, or combo it with a damage spell to destroy an enemy minion, and of course, like a freeze, you can just stop him in its tracks for 1 turn. Lots of possibilities. Next we have Firebolt. For 2 mana, deal 5 damage, and destroy one of your mana crystals. Good damage, but at a price. With your hero power you can always be 1 step ahead of the mana curve, so it could be worth it. On to Rebirth. For 1 mana, restore 5 health to your hero, or Empower free, restore 10 health instead. With the hero power constantly tapping down your life, you might need some health regen just in case. 10 health can get you out of a lot of trouble. I love this one. It might remind you of Locust from Naxxramas. It's Siphon Blood. For 7 mana, deal 3 damage to all enemy minions and restore 3 health to your hero. A weaker Flame Strike, but with the advantage of healing you slightly. Since you have no free spells and probably will be on low health quickly, this is a nice board clear spell to run. This one's interesting. It's Portal. For 4 mana, return a minion to its owner hand and draw a card. So you can return either friendly or enemy minions. It's up to you, and draw a card as well. Very flexible in what it's capable of. Another damage spell is Arcane Spikes. For 4 mana, deal 6 damage, randomly split amongst enemies. Somewhere in between Arcane Missiles and Avenging Wrath, an alternative to Fireball. Best when there's a lot of the low health enemy minions on the board. Next we have Essence Shift. A bigger, badder Banish. For 6 mana, make all minions ethereal until the start of your next turn. Like Banish, you can use this as a Frost Novas that stop all enemy minions attacking, but also to protect your own minions. On to Fire Blast. For 2 mana, deal 3 damage. Empower 5, deal 7 damage instead. Like a Frostbolt and a worse Fireball all in 1 card. Early removal or a nice finisher if you can hang on to it. Next we're on to Arcane Preparation. For 1 mana, gain spell damage +1 this turn only, or Empower 2, gain spell damage +2 instead. If you're about to do a 1-turn barrage of spells, you'll definitely want to be using this. Last spell is Spell Steal. For 3 mana, put the last spell your opponent cast into your hand. Empower 2, it costs 3 less. So anything he just played you can replay, although you have to spend 3 mana. If you pay 5, then you get overall a 1 mana discount. Possibly worth it. Alright, that's it for the Blood Mage cards. Deck wise, I think there's quite a few possibilities. A Zoo Rush-like deck with your hero power, you can pump out stronger, more efficient minions, provided you can maintain card draw. A Control Handlock Ramp type deck with giants etc, using massive minions to swarm the field. Lastly, a Fire Burn type deck full of damage spells where you blast your opponent to oblivion. Of course there's other possibilities, those are just some. Up next it'll be the Demon Hunter for sure. I might be able to squeeze in a sneak preview of the mod soon if I can get the testing done in time. Show it off a bit and all the current progress. I've also got to start showing off the cards you guys are sending in. Don't worry, I haven't forgot yet. Here's that email again. Please leave a like, it really helps out, and subscribe. Thanks guys, and I'll see you next time.